Hey guys, welcome to the MMA Brothers podcast, the newest, baddest, and best podcast out there. And let's get it going. Hello, guys, and welcome back to the MMA Brothers podcast. My name is Daryl.
My name's Asher.
We got a special guest doing part two of the interview with Mike Glasgow. How's it going, Mike?
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for doing the part two with me.
No worries. We're going to be talking UFC Fight Night, Woodley versus Burns.
There we go.
We're going to keep talking about it. And we're going to start off with the main card with Mackenzie Dern versus Hannah Cifers. I don't know.
Cyphers.
So I'm going to get your opinion, Mike. Who do you think's got this one, Mackenzie Dern or Hannah Cifers?
I'm going to have to say, I don't know. I want to say Dern, but I'm going to say Cyphers. I mean, we got a lot going on. I mean, this is Dern's first fight back in over a year, right? She just had a kid. She was having issues making weight, but then I saw her on the scale and she looked great. I mean, she made weight, no issues. I don't know, I was wondering how like the process of having a kid was going to affect her body, her performance. Was she going to be able to have time to train? And so those are the only factors that I'm kind of weighing against her. But I mean, Dern on the ground, she's deadly. Her jiu-jitsu game is pretty high level up there. So I mean, Cyphers, we'll see. I hope Dern can pull it off, but I don't think she's going to be able to. Not with such a long layoff and having that kid.
Yeah, I'm with you. So I'm gonna go with Mackenzie Dern as well. Like you mentioned about her jiu-jitsu game, 57% of her wins are actually by submission. So she's really, really good at what she does. And Mackenzie Dern has been hyped quite a bit by the UFC, as you know.
Yeah.
Somebody that has title prospects in the future. So she should be the favorite in this fight. Hannah Cyphers, she's won half of her fights by KO, TKO. So she does have the power to end the fight with her hands. So just based on, even though Mackenzie Dern is 7-1 and Hannah Cyphers is 10-4, I'm still gonna go with Mackenzie Dern because I just believe that she's the better fighter. How about you, Daryl?
So, basing off what Mike said, Mike, you would know a lot about jiu-jitsu as we've spoken about in the previous episode. Now, when the fight starts on the feet, right? Mackenzie has decent hands, not crazy hands. She's not going to knock you out, and you know she wants to take you to the ground. Knowing that, you've been in fights. How do you think it's going to play out? Because if you know her strength's on the ground, you want to avoid that at every possible way you can, right? So,
right.
How do you think the fight's going to go down? Because I think it's going to be Mackenzie's advancing, Hannah's backing up, and she's going to hurt her because she can't just come in, because I don't think Mackenzie's as comfortable with her striking as Hannah is. Because Hannah's got at least 5 KO victories. Mackenzie's got none. So I'm just hoping to get your opinion on how you think it's going to go.
Yeah, I mean, Cyphers has got to know Mackenzie's going to try and shoot in and go for that takedown and try and stop the fight early. But Cyphers got great takedown defense, and she lands like 5 significant strikes a minute. So Cyphers is going to pepper her in, light her up while she's coming in. So I think that Cyphers takedown defense and that striking, it's a perfect striker versus grappler matchup, right? And I think that in this case, the striker is going to win. But, I mean, who knows? Maybe Dern takes her down early and that's a wrap. Because I'm sure once Dern gets her on the ground, it's going to be real tough for Cyphers to get back up.
Exactly. And I'm going to go with Dern. Just putting that out there.
Trifecta, all three of us.
No. He won with Cyphers.
Oh, no, I thought he said.
No,
I want Dern to win, but I think Cyphers is going to win.
Oh, okay, I got you. My bad.
No worries. We're going to move on to Roosevelt Roberts versus Brock Weaver. Asher?
Yeah, so Roberts is actually, I think he's lost his last 2 fights. Sorry. I don't know if the UFC stats are correct. I thought he lost his last 2. Anyways, that's a different story. Yeah, Roberts, according to the UFC, his record is 9-1, and he's going up against Brock Weaver, who's a savage. Like, I don't know if you've seen this guy's fight. This guy is a savage, right? They're fighting at 155, and as you can see, even though the stats don't really show how savage he is, because he's won 64% of his fights by decision, I like Brock Weaver's fights. He's a very, very entertaining fighter. I haven't seen too many of Roberts' fights, to be honest, but just based off of what I've seen from Brock Weaver, I think he's going to be able to get this done. We can go deeper into their stats. So significant strikes landed per minute is actually in Roberts' favor. Octagon time, his Weaver's fights are much shorter than Roberts' fights, but I don't know, man. Something deep down just telling me that Weaver is the guy that's going to get this one done. How about you, Mike? What do you think?
Yeah, I've also got to pick Weaver. I mean, I love the guy. He came up. He's a really good prospect. Came up through Dana White's Contender Series, right? But he is taking this fight on a short notice. This wasn't originally supposed to be the matchup. But again, props to Brock Weaver for stepping up and taking it on a short notice. I really like that he's like one of the only, if not the only, like Native American fighters in the UFC. And he reps that with all the face paint and all that. So it's good that he's super proud of, you know, where he's come from, where he's going. And there was at the weigh-ins, there was some bad blood. They were talking some trash to each other. So it's going to be a heated fight. But yeah, I've got to pick Weaver. I'm rooting for the guy.
Yeah, they went head to head at the weigh-ins, right? Then they had to get separated by the guy in the middle, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's pretty violent in there.
Yeah. So based off of watching Roberts' previous fights, I get it. Brock's a savage, but Brock also got savagely. I think he got a legal knee in his last fight. I can't remember. It's a controversial ending, but I think he got a legal knee. And those, I don't know. I don't fight, but I think they take a lot out of you. A knee to the dome. Ask Ben Askren. He's never the same. So with this fight, I think Roosevelt Roberts has very nice, crisp hands. I've watched a few of his previous fights. I don't know, man. Brock is a savage, but then again, savages can get clipped. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's a bit reckless in there sometimes. He's very entertaining to watch. Don't get it wrong, but I'm gonna have to go with Roosevelt. I think he's just gonna get it done. He's the taller fighter. He's got 2 more inches on him. The reach is the same though, but still there's a height difference, right? So I'm gonna go with Roosevelt Roberts.
So
that's
Weaver. He's got Weaver. You got Roberts.
Yeah.
Wow.
I like going against the grain. So we're gonna move on to the next one. Billy. Okay, this is quite tricky. I don't want to mispronounce it.
Carlisle? I didn't say his name.
What?
Spike
I
Carlisle?
said Billy.
Oh, my bad.
Billy's not Billy Carlisle. Billy Quarantillo is versus Spike Carlisle. Now, Mike, I want to get your opinion on this card. On this fight. Sorry. Who do you think's got this one?
I mean, they're honestly pretty evenly matched. I mean, Carlisle's 9-1, Quarantillo's 13-2, right? So he's the veteran a little bit more. He's got a few more fights under his belt. But in terms of significant strikes landed per minute, takedowns, I mean, they seem to be pretty evenly matched, I would say. So I think it's a sleeper card. I mean, I think this could surprise a lot of people. Honestly, overall, the card as a whole, I think, is a little bit better than maybe the pay-per-view we got coming up. But I think that this could be an exciting fight. I mean, it's third in before the main event, right? It's the third fight. So I think that the matchmakers know what they're doing, and even though they're pretty evenly matched, I think that's going to play into the fans' enjoyment a lot with how violent this could get.
Yeah, no, 100%. I totally agree with you, man. And having watched Spike's last fight, I'm not sure if you saw it. It was pretty brutal. I think it was against a guy with the last name Cruz. One thing Spike does is he throws hands. If you come within striking distance, if he touches you, you're gonna go down, right? Based off of his previous fights, the Alpha Ginger clipped him, full mounted him, and absolutely lit him up with a barrage of strikes. Now, with regards to Quarantillo, I'm not totally sold on him. I haven't really seen a lot of his fights, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. I've seen Spike, and from what I saw from Spike's a very interesting guy to watch fight.
Right.
He throws hands. He's not really scared to get taken down. He's 9-1, so he's going to be coming in with confidence. He just got a TKO victory in his last fight. So I'm going to have to go with Spike. What do you got?
I think I'm going to go with Spike. I'm going to agree with Daryl on this one. Even though it's a little shorter, and he actually does have a 1-inch reach advantage. So, yeah, I mean, the stats aren't too different between the two fighters. You can toss a coin of who you can pick for this one, but I'm going to go with Spike.
Yeah, no. Looks like we all got Spike, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
You had Spike for that one?
I'm good with that. Spike, yeah, I can pick him.
All right, so we're going to move on to the big boys. Yeah. So
heavyweight.
Yeah. So
yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah. I mean, most of the card has been the lighter weights, right? So they're gonna just added one heavyweight fight.
You gotta sprinkle sprinkle the big boys in here and there.
Yeah. So we got Ivanov versus Sake. in this fight. The Bulgarian versus the Brazilian. So Ivanov has been in the UFC for a while now, and everybody knows he has that scar on his stomach or right above his stomach. I think he got stabbed or something. So he has a rough background. But yeah, Ivanov, he's one of those mid-tier fighters in the UFC at the heavyweight division. Like if you beat him, then you're going places in the division, right?
The gatekeeper.
Yeah, like a gatekeeper. A lot of the divisions of the UFC have that guy that like, okay, you beat like an OSP, you're going places. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like Donald Cowboy.
Yeah, like you beat a Cerrone or like one of those types of guys, and that you're ready for the top tier. So Ivanov is that guy. Augusto is if you can get past Ivanov pretty quickly, then that would be impressive. And Ivanov, he does have good hands. He's a little bit slow. He's not like the most heavy-handed guy in the division, but he is skilled. He can win many different ways, as you guys can see in the stats: 33% by KO, 33% by sub, and 33% by decision. But Augusto, this guy has got really heavy hands. 80% it seems. 79% of his fights are won by.
You got cinder blocks for him.
Yeah. 79% of his fights are won by KO or TKO, and his average fight time is much shorter. So in this fight, I want to pick Ivanov because I think he's the higher ranked guy. It's number 12 versus number 13. Ivanov's number 12. But, I'm going to go with Ivanov. Even though the other guy's got harder hands, I don't know, just based on experience, he's 18-3 Ivanov. I think he'll be able to get it done. What about you?
Oh, we can ask Mike.
Mike, sorry.
Mike, who do you think's got this one at the big boys?
I've got to pick Saka, actually, if that's how you pronounce it. He's got tons of heavyweight, everyone's got lots of wins by TKO, right? I mean, one punch from the heavyweights, you're going to sleep. But I mean, on paper, I think he's the better grappler, he's the better striker. And I think that the UFC is setting them up because they're so closely ranked for Saka to take out that gatekeeper and start going towards the higher ranked heavyweights out in the division. I mean, heavyweight's stacked right now. Can you imagine Saka gets the win and then he's in the contention right over there as well?
Woo.
So.
Yeah, but Mike, man, like if I was a heavyweight, what's waiting for you up there, man. You know what I mean? Francis the Predator.
Beast. Curtis.
That's why I keep it at flyweight.
Sorry?
So that's why I keep it at flyweight. I'm not.
This is the scariest division in terms of if you make one mistake, you bob when you're supposed to weave, you end up in the hospital. You just wake up in the hospital, right? That's
game over.
That's usually the way it goes. So for me, I've watched Ivanov versus Derek Lewis. I think that was one of his most recent fights, if I'm not his most recent one, but Ivanov can take a shot because Derek was cracking this dude. Like cracking him. He's a push forward, and I'm gonna pressure you up against the fence. So we're gonna look for a lot of that. Augusto's more so stand and bang. He's like, okay, I'm gonna whiff shots, but he can take a shot, right? If you get stabbed and you're good to fight, you can take a shot, right? So, that's what I like to think. So I'm gonna go with. I like the heavy hands, but I feel like Ivanov has something to prove because he is getting up there in age, right? Yeah. Everyone regards him as a gatekeeper, and as someone who's regarded as a gatekeeper, you don't want that tag, right? So you want to discipline people who think that they can just motor through you and then go get a top 5 fight, right? So I'm gonna go with Ivanov. So
all right,
we're gonna move on to the main fight. Tyron T. Woodley versus Gilbert Burns, right?
He's fallen in and out of love of fighting. He hasn't fought in a long time.
Yeah.
Mike, please tell me you've seen the Tyron Woodley rapping.
Oh yeah, of course I have.
Yeah. I feel bad for your ears because I feel bad for mine as well. But
yeah.
So who do you like? How do you think this fight's gonna play out? And let me know who you got.
All right. I've got to pick my man Burns on this one, all right? Now, let me tell you why. A lot of people are sleeping on Burns. I mean, he's the underdog, but if you take into account that he just beat Demian Maia, right? Arguably the best jiu-jitsu grappler in the UFC. He smashed him. And Gilbert Burns isn't a joke on the ground either. I mean, he's a second-degree jiu-jitsu black belt, right, at welterweight. And Woodley hasn't fought in over a year. Was trying to focus on that rap career there for a while.
Didn't take off.
I mean, he just lost. I mean, that fight a year ago, he lost the belt, right? So if he does win, puts him back in title contention. But Burns has been on a tear, man. He's been going through that welterweight division. He hasn't lost in a minute. And then you compare that, though, also to Woodley. I mean, after he loses, I think the last couple times he's lost, he's won 3 in a row, right? Like after he's lost, he wins 3, and then he loses and wins 3. So he just lost. So history would say he's about to win his next 3. But I just think Gilbert Burns is going to be too much. I mean, if Woodley lost to a wrestler his last time, then I think he's going to lose to a grappler, a jiu-jitsu fighter this time as well. I think too much time off. I think that ring rust is going to set in. I think he's still dealing with that last loss of his title, and I think Burns is just going to keep that momentum going and go right through him.
Yeah, no, that's a great take. And I'm glad you broke it down the way you did, because if someone just heard you say Gilbert Burns, you go, oh, like, well, you know, what does he think? Is it because it's jiu-jitsu? Like, and I'm glad you broke it down so eloquently. And I have to agree with you, but I gotta go with T Wood, because the way Gilbert Burns fights, I've watched his last previous fights, and he's not scared to stand and bang. He's not one of the jiu-jitsu guys who's looking to take you down at any moment. He's like, okay, you want to stand up and fight? We'll stand up and fight. If you go against the cage, I'm going to take you down, right? So with T Wood plays possum, and then he explodes. You know what I mean? And then he's throwing left hook, right hook, left hook, right hook. You can ask Darren Till's chin. Doesn't feel nice.
You can ask Darren Till's chin. Yeah.
Right? So this is why I gotta go with T Wood. You know, his rap career was a pretty big joke, and then he also lost his belt. So like I think he's taken 2 L's in a row. So he's gonna win 6 fights in a row based off of his L taking, and
that's a lot.
He took 2 straight L's, yeah. So he should win the next 6.
Exactly. So on the ground, the thing is, people forget Tyron Woodley was a high-level wrestler, right? Very high level.
Just got his black belt jiu-jitsu too.
Yeah.
Like when he beat Darren Till.
Yeah. So, you know, Gilbert Burns on the ground, I would give him the advantage if he's on his back. But I think top control, I would go with T Wood just because of the wrestling, right? That's just my opinion. And keep in mind, Mike, you know way more than me. So I'm just
no. That's a good take. That's fair as well. Yeah, you're right.
So T Wood's hands, Gilbert can knock you out at any moment. That's Damian Maia, right? He didn't see that punch coming. Boom, he's down. And then the follow-up strikes were.
I mean, Woodley can knock you out in a second too. Ask Robbie Lawler, right?
That's true. Robbie went down quick.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
That's Robbie's chin.
Absolutely crazy. But
so yeah, I'll give my take on this one. So I'm actually gonna go with Woodley. The reason why is, you know, he defended the belt, I think 3-4 times once he got it after beating Robbie Lawler. And, you know, he lost to Kamaru Usman, and everybody knows now that Kamaru Usman is actually the truth. That this guy is really good, right? So I think Woodley, like, underestimated him a little bit when he went in there. He thought, oh, this guy's got nothing on me, whatever, and stuff, you know, calling him LL Cool J and whatever. But, yeah, Woodley really, like, he got, you know, manhandled in that fight. It was actually crazy to watch how, like, one-sided it was. But Woodley, again, like we've all said, he's been out for almost a year now, maybe longer. And he was talking about how he was in a state of depression, like after he lost the belt. So when I hear stuff like that, it doesn't make me very confident in picking Woodley for this fight, because like I know he's been out, and you know he's been away from the octagon for a while now, so he could have been, you know, mentally and physically ready to go now. But Gilbert Burns is no joke, right? I mean, like most of you guys have mentioned, like, you know, 2nd-degree black belt in jiu-jitsu, like he can win many different ways. Daryl mentioned that he has good hands too. And we had mentioned that he just TKO'd Damian Maia in his last fight. But then again, Tyron Woodley, even though he didn't TKO Damian Maia, he actually, you know, he beat Damian Maia pretty easily. I think Damian Maia attempted like 21 takedowns or some crazy number, right? And like Woodley was able to stop all of them. So Woodley's wrestling is really impressive.
But what's more impressive, knocking him out or surviving for 5 rounds?
But what I'm just trying to say is that I feel like Usman is just really good at wrestling, that he's able to take Woodley down, because like I think Woodley had some insane takedown defense percentage before that.
Right.
So I just find it very hard to believe that Burns is going to be able to take it to the ground and beat Woodley there. So with that being the case, with Burns not going to be able to take Woodley there, it's going to be a stand-up fight, and Woodley has way more power than Burns.
I don't know
Burns
about
is don't get me wrong. Burns can throw, but Woodley can throw. You know what I mean? Like, he can throw. Just look at him, like, and ask everybody that.
You know what, Mike, you'll be the divider. Who do you think? Like, is it a wash in power? I think it's very close.
Yeah, it's too close. I don't know. I'm still gonna go with my boy Burns, though.
Exactly. See?
So I think Woodley's going to get it done by the second or third round. I think the first round, Burns will be able to compete with them, but then somehow, some way, I don't think Woodley's going to take it to the ground because of how decorated Burns is on the ground. But I think he's going to be able to TKO Burns within the second or third round.
So based off of that, yeah, I totally agree. And I think it's going to go to the judges' scorecard because I just think both fighters know the risks of lunging in. Like, if you look at, and to put on Mike's point, Gilbert Burns is not scared of anyone. Tyron Woodley looked scared in his last fight with Kamaru Usman.
Everybody's scared of him. He's a Nigerian nightmare.
Yeah, except Colby. But I'm gonna go with Mike and say Gilbert Burns is coming up. He's not scared. He's fighting everyone. He's on a big fight win streak. But then at that point, it's counteracting with Woodley coming off a loss. So it's a toss up both ways. And I can't wait for this one. I'm still going to stick with Woodley just because he's seen a jiu-jitsu practitioner before and he's seen a guy with heavy hands. Has he seen both of them at the same time? No, up until now. So it's a box. It's a Pandora's box that he hasn't opened. Do you get what I mean? So, Mike, any exiting regards with regards to this card?
I think we've got 3 solid fights on the prelims, actually, that we can maybe talk about if you want. But
yeah, for sure. Mention
yeah, I think 3 of the prelim fights are really exciting. 2 of them are flyweights. Obviously, I'm a little biased on that, but one of them's a bantamweight fight, and that's Louis Smolka versus Casey Kenny. I mean, Smolka's been in the UFC for a long time. He was actually let go and then came back at bantamweight, and that's what this fight is at. Now, he's won 2 out of his 3 at bantamweight, but he rarely goes to decision. I think he's like 50-50 on either knocking someone out or submitting someone. And he did win Fight of the Night against Tim Elliott. So he's 16-6. I think Smolka is super exciting, but then you got to look at Casey Kenny. I mean, he did lose his last fight in February, but before that, he was on a 6-fight win streak that got him into the UFC, and he did beat Ray Borg. But I mean,
yeah, you can too. So that's not really.
I mean, it's just Ray Borg, right? And,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think that's it. Yeah, but yeah, I just think that's a good sleeper card. I got to pick Smolka on that one now. He's the UFC vet, and he's been doing really well at bantamweight. I think he takes the win over Casey.
No, yeah, he definitely had a massive weight cut to get to 125. He's actually, I think, on the list of top 10 fighters that lose the most amount of weight. He looked really, really bad on the scales when he was fighting at flyweight, but he is a very tall guy. 5'9" for a flyweight is quite tall.
Yeah, he's
yeah.
And he's like 2 inches taller, right? No, but he said that earlier. For 5'11" for flyweight, he's extremely tall. So, Louis Smolka also has a chin. For somebody that cut so much weight to get, or that did cut so much weight to get to 125, I remember seeing a lot of his fights. He's getting tagged, and he just wasn't going out. So he's got a good chin on him. He's got some good skills as well. So I'm happy that he's back in the UFC. He's fighting at a higher weight class now, so I think the weight cut isn't as much of a problem anymore. So
yeah,
I hope this is going to be an exciting fight. We watched the prelims as well, but we don't sound like we try to avoid them. It's just we don't want to extend our preview for way too long and make it like an hour and 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, because we know that the viewership as the videos go on drops, and then maybe what we might do, start doing prelim and then we do main. Right?
Or maybe featured prelim fights, because the main card is what usually people watch. But if there's some highlights in the prelims, definitely we're going to be able to talk about them.
And you said that there was 3 fights. So which was the other one? Is it the Tim Elliott fight and the Caitlin?
Yeah. So the last 2 is Tim Elliott versus Royval, and then the women's flyweight of Chikagian versus Shevchenko. Now this is the Shevchenko sister, right? So,
yeah.
So Chukagian already lost once to Valentina Shevchenko, so it's kind of a cool storyline if you think about it. It's like, well, maybe I can beat her sister, you know? But it's kind of like deja vu. But yeah, I think that Shevchenko takes that one easily as well. I think that her sister probably taught her up on how to beat her, and I think that's an easy win for the Shevchenkos again.
Yeah, and you know, I wasn't so sold that Valentina was going to beat Caitlin.
By the way, he bet on Chukagian to win that fight. You said Chukagian was going to beat Shevchenko.
100%.
Hey, she's a stud. She's a stud. But
yeah, so I get your opinion on that one, but the thing is, Antonina is not as good as Valentina.
She's not. You're right.
She's
that's
not.
True.
So
that is true.
I think she's going to be lulled into a false sense of confidence. It's kind of like, my brother beat you, so I'm going to beat you up too. But
Yeah.
But yeah, so Caitlin is really good on the ground. But Valentina's a different beast, as we saw. I was so mad. Because I was like, someone's got to beat Valentina. It's going to be Caitlin. There was a lot of hype going in. No one else agreed with me, and they were proved right. But they're both decision fighters, and I think Caitlin has more UFC experience than Antonina.
That's right.
So I'm going to go with Caitlin on this one, just because, you know, you lost to one sibling. You know what I mean, Mike? Like, I don't know if you've ever fought two siblings. If you lose to one, you really want to beat up the other one. You know what I mean?
Right, that's true.
A sense of pride takes over. Like, dude, I can't.
Two L's to the same family. Come on.
Exactly.
But you can almost compare that to like Dominic Cruz beating every single team alpha male guy they threw at him until Cody, you know? So
yeah.
It's also kind of like McGregor. McGregor's talked about fighting Nate Diaz and Nick Diaz, like beating both of them up. So I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I kind of get what you're saying.
Yeah, no, and the Cody Garbrandt with Dom, I felt so bad watching Dom get.
I know, Dom's my boy.
I know, man. It's just, I felt so bad watching, but then Cody. I respect Cody, man. Cody, he fights with his arm on his sleeve, which has been his wind beneath his sails, but also has been his Achilles heel. So, yeah.
The third fight you had mentioned was a Tim Elliott fight. So I know Tim Elliott. He's fought. I think he fought Demetrius Johnson actually for the belt, if I'm not mistaken.
He did.
Yeah, he was one of his last few fights before DJ went to ONE FC. So Tim Elliott, he's a very, very experienced guy. He's really good with his jiu-jitsu.
He's got a mullet.
And he's got a mullet.
That's plus points.
Yeah. And he actually did put up a good fight against Demetrius Johnson, if I'm not mistaken. It was actually super competitive, but it was more competitive than it should have been, right? So Tim Elliott does have, a championship fight experience. So, I mean, in this fight, Royval, how do you say his name?
Royval.
Royval? Right. So Brandon, I mean, is going up against somebody that has better fight experience than him. So in this one, I would definitely choose Tim Elliott.
What do you got, Mike?
Yeah, I got to pick Tim Elliott too. I just think the experience is going to be too much. This is Royval's UFC debut, though, so he's looking at trying to make a statement. He might come in there hot and heavy, trying to take him out early, make the flyweight division exciting, but we'll see. I think that Tim Elliott's he did just fight for the title not too long ago, right? Maybe a couple years back, but he's got experience under those lights. He's got so many more fights, and I just think the veteran kind of stunts this UFC debut, and then that'll give some room for me to talk some smack to Royval in the DM. So hopefully get a fight in there as well. So that's good.
Exactly.
That's awesome. I like your smack talk.
Yeah. So I don't know too much about either of these fighters, so I'm gonna rely on you guys' expertise, and I'm gonna go with Tim Elliott. I guess. Right?
All of the squad.
I don't really
we disagreed on almost every other fight, so we'll see.
But Tim Elliott's the guy. We're all on Tim Elliott's side.
Yeah,
exactly. No, but with regards to the fight picks, I more so go with my gut instinct, not necessarily what analysts are supposed to really go with, right? You take a very analytical approach. I more so go with you know what I mean? Like, you got an itch, and then you know what that leads to? Me losing bets. So
can't trust the itch, man.
There you go.
There's a reason you get cream for an itch, right?
I gotta go to the doctor for that.
Yeah, no, Mike. You know what? We want to thank you so much for this opportunity again. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to come speak with us. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much again for reaching out. We absolutely love that you reached out to us, man. And we're gonna keep reaching out to you. We're gonna keep, watching your page, and we might hit you up whenever we see. Once you get another medal, because I know you're striving to get another one. I know it's coming.
It's on the way.
We're putting it on our story. We're making a post about you. We're going to be your fans. I can honestly say that.
And just to add to what he said, in the future, if you ever want to break down another preview with us for any fight card, just hit us up and we'll be glad to do it again. So.
Oh, yeah. Just let me know.
Yeah, man. Thank you again. It was a lot of fun doing this with you. And let's watch the fights tomorrow and talk about it.
There we go, brother. All right. You have a good one.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Take it easy.
See ya.